Hey, thanks for having me for lunch. This is Lunch with Laura. It's good to see you today. Today we're going to be talking about never settling for less than God's best for you when you're looking for the one, okay? And this kind of ties into what we were talking about yesterday when I had my guests, Miss Ida and Miss Etta, and they did a wonderful job, and it was funny. So if you want to check out that video from yesterday, it was great on talking about golden pearls and tips on marriage, dating, and relationships. So check that out. And if you want to leave a comment in the chat section, please do that. If you're watching this live or if you're watching the tape version of it, I'd love to hear from you. So feel free to do that and express your feelings. Let us know what you're thinking and let us know what you feel and think. And if you want to see other videos in the upcoming days and weeks, let me know what you want to see and what you want to hear about, okay? Okay, so one of the most important things when you're not settling for God's best and you want to make sure that you are walking in the fullness of everything that He has for you is to go about the business of knowing who you are. And what do I mean by that? I mean, really understanding, sometimes it really means this kind of splitting yourself open and digging and really finding out what makes you tick. Sometimes when we've gone through some rough stuff, we start to have some doubts about all the things that we thought about life and when we thought about marriage and, all our total outlook of what we thought the world was. And sometimes when that, there's a disruption and that gets changed, whether we go through a divorce or whatever it is, whatever hardship that we see, sometimes it really makes us doubt who we are and what we thought about the world. And so, sometimes we have to kind of rein things back in, get centered again and say, hey, what is it that I really want? What is it, what does the next 5 years look like for me? And really start envisioning and forecasting those types of things. So that's what I mean by what does it make you tick, what makes you tick? Get real clarity on, what you need, what your needs are, when you're looking for the one, what are the things that he needs to fulfill? And just establish your bottom line too. It's going to be just figure out what your deal breakers are. That's really important. That'll really save you time. It'll save you time for dealing with so and so, and it's time for him too. Knowing that hey, this isn't going to work, and I know that from the very beginning. I'm just going to speak a blessing over you and keep it moving. People who know me know I say that all the time. If it's not worth your time, keep it moving. Okay, and also. It's a time, it may be a time for you to admit the things that you need to work on and get committed to doing those things. Like for example, for me, after my divorce, and I'll just pick on myself, after my divorce, I really had to work on not falling into the same types of thought patterns so I wouldn't attract the same type of guy again. And what do I mean by that? I'm a sucker for anybody who really needs help. So I need to make sure that this was a person that God wanted me to be in relationship with, and not get entangled with a bunch of stuff that I shouldn't have gotten entangled with. So, when I recognized it, I did keep it moving, but, there was some stuff that I walked through that I really didn't need to. So when you're working on the things that you need to work on for you, and there's always stuff that we can get better at, and that's all I mean. Doesn't mean that you're a bad person because you got a divorce, or that I'm saying that it was all your fault, because it's not. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying we all have stuff that we need to work on, including me. So let me push you out of the way and get to the front of the line and raise my hand, right? Okay, so because you want to be in the right place emotionally when the right one comes along. When that Mr. Right and the right guy comes along, you want to be in the right place to receive what God wants him to give to you, all the love and affection and, the caretaking and just the way that he's just going to love you like nobody else can. You want to be in an emotional position to be able to receive all those things and really flourish under that. Just let him be your, spiritual covering and your financial covering and all the good stuff that, that we always want for ourselves. We want to make sure that we're in the right place at the right time. Or even worse, we want to make sure that, God's not waiting on us to do the hard work that we need to do before he sends Mr. Right. Okay, so sometimes God waits on us. And I know there's been a couple of times in my life that I realized, after I, finally stopped being disobedient to God and did what he wanted me to do, I was like, oh, you were waiting for me. Sorry, if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes. So the other thing is, all right, so what ties into what we spoke about yesterday, Miss Ida mentioned having a list of the items or the personality traits that you want to see in a guy, that you're looking for in a guy, that's really going to, just blow your world and just make you glow and make you, to help you to be a better person. I mean, obviously we don't hang our happiness solely on somebody else. We really look to God for that. And so we want to make sure that we're not doing that. But it is important, and I think it was a really good point that she made. Make a list of the things that you're really searching for in a guy, and really kind of stick firm to that. And what Ida suggested was, that special guy really needs to satisfy at least 10% of the items or the things that you have on your list. If not, then there really isn't any a reasonable expectation that he's really going to make you happy. There really isn't any too much hope that things are really going to work out the way that you hope. And so you don't want to invest a whole lot of time and energy, and sometimes investing money, into, a relationship or a situation where it's really just going to lead to disappointment. And you really don't want to set yourself up for failure. And that's important. That's an important point. Okay? Because, you don't want to start dating someone because, it's just something to do. Oh, yeah, this guy, there's nobody else on the horizon. This guy's pursuing me right now. He's probably really not my type, but you know what? I just want to go out on Saturday night. No, don't do that. Trust me. Don't do that. No, that's how you do fall into getting entangled in somebody else's, mess, somebody else's drama before you know it. And then, you start walking through some stuff God never intended for you to walk through. Now, that doesn't mean that the person that you went out with or the person you started dating is not worthy of support and affirmation and respect and help and all that good stuff, and whatever they're trying to do, whether they're trying to, reinvent themselves after their divorce or whatever they're going through, if they're going through some stuff with their family, it doesn't mean that they're not worthy of God's love and attention. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is, there are other people who have assignments to walk alongside that person who God, gave them giftings and talents and gave them experiences to be able to help that person. It's just not you. That's all. That's one of the things that God wanted you to walk through. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so I'm not, poo-pooing and saying, oh, that's a throwaway guy. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he's not ordained for you to be with. And it's not one of the experiences that God wants you to have and wants you to start to carry around as something that might be turn into something that feels very negative for you and feel like you really can't or have a difficult time moving beyond that because you got some emotional wounding from it. Okay? So, you just want to make sure of that, because your time is too precious to just be like, I'll just go out with this person. You want to make sure that the person that you want to date, even if you're just starting to know that person, is someone that you're excited about. You're excited about to get to know that person. You're attracted to them. You got that attraction going on, like Ida said yesterday. That you just, and that he's excited to date you. That you're not, oh, this is the consolation prize because the game is not on this weekend, and hey, let me call you up and see what you're doing. No, you are so much more fierce and precious and awesome and wonderful to settle for that. That is less than God's best for you. That is less than the fullness of what you should be walking in. And I want to make sure and speak over you that you know your worth, that you know that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, that you're God's favorite. Don't tell nobody, but you're God's favorite. He told me. So just know that don't settle for less than what God has for you. Don't just do stuff because you may be bored. That may just mean that God wants you to really start focusing on the plans that he has for you. If you have it in your heart to start a business or, to do something that'll be great for your kids later on that you're laying a foundation for, or whatever it is, that's the calling and the destiny on your life, then spend that time pursuing those things, thinking about those things, writing those things down in bullet points or charting them or whatever, however you want to put them. And I would suggest too, that was a great idea that a friend of mine had. He called a blessing board. And all he did was put up like construction paper up on his wall, in his bedroom and took a magic marker or a pen, just make sure it doesn't bleed into the, and makes a permanent mark on your wall. But, he put up paper and he just started writing, the date and when he received the blessing. And before you knew it, he had one side filled up, and he would wake up every morning and look at that and say, wow, look how God is blessing me. Or look how, I had asked God for this on this date. And 3 weeks later, I got my answer. Or 2 months later, or however long it is a wonderful incentive and encouragement. So if I can just even leave you with that little tip today, if you remember nothing else from this video, start a blessing board in your kitchen or in your bedroom or wherever you're going to look at it, a lot. So don't settle for less than God has for you when you're looking for that special guy. I'm contending for me that the guy that the Lord has for me, my new husband, he's going to love me from head to toe. He's going to think I'm the sexiest thing on the earth. He's going to be emotionally healthy. That's not to say that, it's not some stuff that he needs to work on, but he's not still stewing in all the damage and hurt feelings and woundings that he had from his prior relationships, or if he was married before, from his prior marriage. He's going to have healthy ways and a healthy skill set to deal with when things come up, because things come up, it's life, right? But he's going to have a healthy way of dealing with those things, and be able to be courageous enough to, face them head first, and just move forward in boldness and in strength. And he's going to just be generous to me to a fault, and he is always going to have my best interests at heart, because I didn't have that before. He's always going to have my best interests at heart and just love me, and that's his job, to love me unconditionally. And I'm going to do the same thing for him. So I hope that encourages you today. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your lunch, and just know that you are wonderful and fierce and beautiful and all those good things. Enjoy the rest of your day.